Interviewing the Avett Brothers is special. I was talking with GE about a year ago, and he told me that he ran into Scott and they hung out for a little bit and they talked about doing something. And I told GE in that moment, I said, if you get to do something with the Avett Brothers, you have to let me know, because I got to be a part of it.
How are you, buddy?
Good to see you. Thanks for setting this up, man.
I didn't know if you wanted to meet these guys yet.
I didn't.
This is Anthony.
How you doing?
Hi, just nice to meet you.
Scott and Seth. Anthony, that's a show.
I mean, they're one of the great bands to emerge in the last 10, 15 years. We didn't really know what to expect rolling into Guildhall. We knew we were going to get an interview, we just didn't know anything else. We walk in and it's not just the Avett Brothers, but it's their complete band. So Bob and Joe are there, and then I look behind the drum kit and it's Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And this is the kind of thing that I feel like only happens on the eastern end of Long Island. And you got to come along with us, which is really, really fun. So when it came time for the interview, the crew was kind of freaking out because we were trying to line up our shots and get our sound right, and we had no idea who was going to even come out and talk with us. And you know, we made it work. We had a great crew that day, and everybody was just so generous. Of course, the whole band came out. Scott, Seth, Bob, Joe, Chad Smith,
Smith Brothers,
G.E. Smith Brothers, down at the end there. I just saw the documentary that you guys did, which I thought was killer. But I loved how Judd started it off with the bad questions. You were just about to do Madison Square Garden, and they asked you, what's it like to play Madison Square Garden? And your response was, we don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, and then the next part of the documentary.
That was more of a bad answer than a bad question.
It was kind of smart alecky.
A little smart alecky.
A little bit, but I appreciated it.
Yeah.
Had you not played it yet? Was that the truth?
We had not. It was the truth. It was the truth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the girl was like, this is a digital interview, which is an excuse for send the least experienced person to do that. That was basically what it is. But then the next shot is everybody telling you like how great the record is, and he cut that together like 50 times that you guys get to hear that. So I want to know, doing portraits with GE, like how nice is that to be in there with a musician who's not going to be like, oh, I love the album, or oh, this, who's not going to come with those typical questions. I mean, is that part of the appeal to come and do a show like this?
We hadn't really thought about that at all. You know, with GE, it was a natural coming together. I met GE. We were riding around here in Long Island, back and forth from a dinner or something, and just hit it off. And it was like, hey, this is something we should do. Like-minded guys should do. So, as far as what GE would ask, it's probably whatever he would ask if we were riding down the road, So it's cool. It's very natural, and that's the kind of thing we go for. We always have gone for. The way our band has grown, the way we've written songs has always been, I think, a search or seeking the truth is kind of overdone, but a sincerity,
Yeah.
finding who we are, really.
Yeah, and also, as far as doing anything with GE, it should be mentioned that I know for Scott and I'm not sure for Bob, probably Bob as well, but we were getting part of our musical education in like 4-second intervals when SNL was going to commercial, and then 4 seconds when they were coming back from commercial, and GE was giving us that education, very early on. So the opportunity to do something with GE was not, it wouldn't even cross our minds what he might think about our record or anything. We're just like, oh, GE wants to do something. We're just okay, let's do that.
The trust is there already.
Sure. Because we know that he's that he's a friend, and at this point we can work together on something, and we're going to get a little education about working.
They could have said, "G needs you to come and paint his house." And
we'd have been like, "We're there."
We'd be like, "Okay." I'm like, "All right," but I'm not going to tape anything off. I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going.
Would it have come out good? Can the Avett Brothers paint?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, we can do anything. We can do anything. Heck yeah, we can paint.
It's good to know.
To build on that, you got to know these two men, both Chad Smith and G. Smith, for our generation, are responsible.
It's the highest level.
The highest level. We were imitating these guys, and the things that they were involved in, we were just dreaming to be involved in something that even remotely.
I know.
So to be around them and to have just enough respect from them to get on stage with them, it's incredible. No, don't get it.
It's G here. I gotta cut into this here now. All this
It's
niceness.
true. G is
you
true.
guys are genuinely nice guys.
Well,
I will say that.
yeah, sure.
But
That's not true.
it's a two-way street. The admiration thing. You guys, I was just telling Seth, I really had a good time learning the songs, going on YouTube, and looking at all the videos and learning the songs. And as I went back through the years of watching the Avett Brothers, it was great to watch them get really good on their instruments.
The evolution, right?
Yeah. You go back to 2010, they're good.
Yeah.
But today they're really good, and what's that about? That's about
So I guess
1,000
that's
gigs,
hard,
right?
That's hard to hear. That's
it's
hard to hear.
1,000 gigs is what it is.
10,000
And
hours,
they
right?
worked it more.
10,000
10,000 hours was before they ever made a video. They already had their 10,000 in.
Yeah. No, it's true, but like it's funny that you say that because you listen to the albums, you're like, this is good, and then the new album comes, and you're like, holy crap! Like it goes to the next level. But you brought up something that I really wanted to talk to you about, and it's funny that Chad's here now because, the Chili Peppers and everything that they did. I feel like in the 90s, Chili Peppers, Nirvana, there was that whole thing and that grunge sound and that like angrier sound came about. And it was funny to watch you guys talk about, Chad, you're so angry. But it seemed like there was that like louder was better, and you guys brought that up in the documentary, and it was so refreshing to see that because for me personally, everything I listened to at that moment was exactly that. It was so loud, and then at some point, like I just kind of came off it as a fan and got back to CSNY and some of those other things, and the Nirvana Unplugged album came out, and suddenly I was like, wait a second, like it doesn't have to be cranked up to 11. So it was so cool to see that you guys went through that because I went through that as a fan of music, right. But for those of you guys from going from Nemo to what you are now, like you went through that too, which was crazy to see.
Well, there's a lot of ways to come about that realization that sometimes volume and loudness and fury is exactly what's called for, and then other times the exact opposite is what's called for. And you can find that in classical music, you can find it in jazz, you can find it. It depends on what your tastes, what they take you to, but yeah, we had a lot of discovery with that through music that they were involved in, and folk music and blues and everything else as well.
Yeah. Do you guys worry about that when you're putting together an album? Because you guys can rock as hard as I've seen anybody, and then there's some ballads that are like some songs that are so soft and beautiful. Do you worry like, oh, we don't have enough of this on the album, or we don't have enough of that, or do you not even worry about that?
I don't think we worry about that. We just each song is another expression, calls for a different sound or approach, and we just try to answer that call.
I think we will notice it if we're
body of work,
in a body of work, and when we're writing music, when we're making a record, we don't consider that at all. That's not a consideration until it's like we're picking, or the album is revealing itself. What are the songs of an album? But yeah, if a record, if it felt like it was one note from top to bottom, I think that we would probably look at it a little closer. But it's not like when we're writing, if it just so happens that the 20 newest songs are all very heavy, then that's just how it is. We wouldn't try to tailor the inspiration because that's impossible.
That's what that album's going to be,
right.
Then, if that's what it was. How much is Rick? Because I knew that Rick started producing your albums. I didn't know that you guys had signed with Rick. But how much does Rick? Because again, from watching the documentary, it seems like he just loves everything you guys do. But like, how much of that is he in there going like maybe you guys want to try this, or what do you think about going back to this chorus here? Does he do that, or is his producing a little bit different than that?
He does do that. He does a little of everything. I think we all in the room, well, especially Seth, Bob, and I, and Rick, look at the whole thing as ours, and we all have free reign to say, hey, why don't we do this, or why don't we try this, or that sucks. We should. That really sounded bad. That definitely comes out of Rick's mouth. That sounded terrible.
Does it really?
Absolutely.
You ever get this one?
Does he?
I mean, yeah, totally. Like Rick has no problem. He's going to be sincere. He's going to be honest. He'll tell you like you didn't play that well.
But it won't be mean-spirited.
Not at all. It's in loving ways, of course.
That, yeah.
Right.
I have no enemies. I have no enemies.
One thing that I got from the Judd Apatow documentary that I loved was you guys were playing a song, and it was a real emotional tune, and then everybody was like, oh, that was so awesome. And then you guys kind of like had that moment, and I found that to be so interesting because like I'm a big fan of Dave Matthews. He has a song called Funny the Way It Is, and one of the lines in the song is, your heart breaks, but it becomes somebody's favorite song. And nobody ever really talked about that so much. So I heard it in his song, and then I saw you guys go through that. And I guess my question is like, do you ever get used to somebody being like, which one I love? The one where you completely fall apart. Like that's my do you ever get used to that? Or
after a documentary comes out about you and it exposes that feeling, yeah, you kind of get over it. And you realize, I should have just said, great job, this was great. I think when we're recording, I think when anybody records, there's a moment of vulnerability in it. Like you give everything you got, emotionally and mentally, and sometimes physically as well. And at that moment for me, when I record or whenever I'm creating anything visually as well, there's a moment of vulnerability for me. And I don't represent myself so well when I'm that,
right.
weakened.
Right.
And so, yeah, there's the truth to that. I remember listening to the Bon Iver record, Forever, Emma Forever ago.
Yeah.
I love that record so much, but really knowing that this is a piece of a man's soul on this. Yeah. Coming out of these speakers.
Yeah.
This is a piece of a man's soul, and I'm drawing to it, and just taking it in and writing to it and thinking to it. And there was some conflict to that, but I don't feel that way anymore. But that's because the mirror was put up. I sat in a theater and watched that and thought about it a lot. Said, wait a second, this is what it's about. It's about putting that out there. And the more you put it out there, you kind of go, well, that type of heartbreak, it was a one-in-a-lifetime thing. No hard feelings is a one-in-a-lifetime feeling. Never happens again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just like that, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Then you start thinking, well, if you get torn up every time that feeling comes along, you're going to be worthless.
Yeah.
So
it's weird. It's heartless to admit. I feel bad saying this to you guys, but like you hear these things sometimes, and like Ryan Adams, for instance, just went through a separation, and I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear that new thing. And then I catch myself. I'm like, well, that's a horrible thing to say. But if I'm being honest, those thoughts do occur.
It's also a sort of a vote of confidence in Ryan, though, that you put this trust in him that this is one of the souls that is touched in a way that he will communicate a feeling in a way that might be helpful to me or anyone else. You know, we know Ryan Adams to be a great songwriter. It's completely fair and completely, I think, without malice to expect that he is going to, for all of us, maybe organize an emotion and maybe give it back to us.
That's the thing. You guys are like the torchbearers. Like we can't all go out and write the songs that you can. We can't honored. Drum the parts that you can drum. Like we need you guys to do that.
We're honored to be a part of something bigger.
Yeah,
it's an amazing thing.
That's our job.
All right, I'm gonna let you guys go.
Anthony.
I know you got to do a show.
Cool, man.
Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Show.
All right.
Thank you guys for doing this.
All right.
I really appreciate it. Joe, Chad, thanks, man.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you all so much.
I'm sorry.
This is our interview, man.
I like you all the time.
You were our hero. Isn't that enough for you?
I'll be listening.
The number one question I get since interviewing the Avett Brothers is, are they really as nice as they seem? And, I want people to understand, like, they sell out arenas. They headline music festivals. They're playing to 20,000 in arenas, 30,000, 40,000 in music festivals. They're headlining, and they came here to Eastern Long Island, to Guild Hall. Guild Hall is gorgeous. Like, don't get me wrong, it's one of the most beautiful venues, but it doesn't seat 30,000 people. They came here to do this special thing, to be with G.E. Smith and play the portrait show. And and Chad came, and everybody came and sat in on the interview, and they didn't have to. And instead of getting ready for the show or eating dinner, which they hadn't done, they hadn't eaten anything, they had this long sound check, all this stuff, they came and they sat and they talked to us instead of getting ready for the show that night and eating and relaxing. And it's just, you know, are they nice? Like, they're redefining nice. They're in the music business, they are giving a new definition to the word nice. It was incredible. I wouldn't have done it. I would have chose eating. I think there's something in this interview for everyone. You know, we got into some really honest stuff, and they were brutally honest. And it takes a special kind of a person to, you know, admit their innermost thoughts and feelings to people, get judged on that, and then come back for more and give more thoughts and feelings and give reaction to it.
When I record or whenever I'm creating anything visually as well, there's a moment of vulnerability for me. And I don't represent myself so well when I'm that, you know, weakened.
You know, Scott was really true to himself, you know, and not many people can be that honest about themselves in daily life. That's a real unique quality. And I was just happy to be in the presence of it. That's a level of honesty that most of us don't have. And I think we would all be a little bit more better off if we conducted ourselves that way, if we were a little bit more honest with ourselves and a little bit more forgiving of others. I think that's the lesson to take away from this interview. You know, I think we need a little bit more of that in the world in general. And, you know, I hope people get that from the interview. But I think that people are going to get that from the Avett Brothers and G.E. Smith and Chad Smith, period.
There ain't no man can save me. There ain't no man can enslave me. There ain't no man that can change and shake my soul in. No. There ain't nobody here who caused me pain or raise my fear, 'cause I got only love to share.
It's a whole new thing. Cool. All right. Yeah.